Is your portfolio not performing as expected? You are not alone. Most traders and investors struggles to build a robust, profitable portfolio. But you are in luck because I'm going to teach you how to construct a robust, profitable portfolio. Most people struggle to build a robust portfolio because, first of all, they lack the number of diversified strategies to pick from and construct a portfolio. And even when they do, they lack the tools and the workflow to construct a robust portfolio. So let's dive into this step-by-step guide on how to construct your portfolio. First of all, you need a lot of strategies that are tested for robustness and been developed earlier. Now, this is totally separate subject, and that's what my Algo Trading Masterclass teaches you to do. But once you have this database of robust strategies, now comes the part of constructing the portfolio. And step number one is we need to define the goal. Of course, most people will think that I want to make most amount of money. And if that's the case, then it's extremely easy. You pick the highest profitable strategies, put them in a portfolio and start trading. But in reality, you don't want the highest profit, but you want the highest profit with the lowest drawdown. And that's called return to drawdown ratio. Because you don't want to make, let's say, double the amount of money, but suffering 80% drawdown. Because in reality, you will not be holding that portfolio in that drawdown. Step number two is diversification. Now, most people think that diversification comes from different markets. And unfortunately, that's not true. In reality, most diversification comes from the direction and the style of the strategy. Let's think about this. For example, if you're trading crude oil, long and short, so two strategies, one going long, one going short. So obviously, both of these strategies are highly diversified because one is going in the opposite direction of the other. Also, you can add time. So if you're trading intraday, that's going to be different than daily, going to be different than weekly. You can add the style. So mean reversion strategy, by definition, will go the opposite way of a breakout strategy. So by diversifying direction, the holding amount of time, the style of the strategy, long-term and short-term, you will get huge diversification rather than the market itself, because you can easily trade crude oil and natural gas and you will be highly correlated. Step number three is tools. So you will need some tools to construct the best portfolio. Unfortunately, without tools, you are very limited in the things that you can do. Let's say you have 100 strategies. If you don't have any tools, then you are limited, let's say, to Excel or Google Sheets. Then you can upload the trading data for the strategies, do your correlation, and then out of the diversification that we talked about in step two and the correlation, then you will try to combine some of them in a portfolio. This is an example of about 50 strategies, and you can see how hard it is if you do this in Excel. Assume this is Excel, is the same thing. I'm just showing the correlation between these strategies. So from the correlation, you pick, let's say, this one and this one, and you combine some of them with different time frame. And like I mentioned, it's a trial and error. But if you have tools, then of course you can do much, much more. And today I will construct the portfolio using StrategyQuant X portfolio module. So here we are in StrategyQuant X, and we are in the portfolio master module. So I loaded here 249 strategies. Now you can do this with any number of strategies, but I'm going to pick something simpler to explain what I am doing. So in this data bank, I have 59 strategies and I picked 54 only. I excluded the crude oil. So like you can see here, we have A6, CTDX. These are all futures except for the USD JPY. This is Forex. And I excluded the crude oil. So out of this whole data bank, I'm only going to use 54 strategies, the one that are picked to construct a portfolio. So first of all, we are starting with robust strategies that have been developed already and stored in the data bank. So now we go to full settings and let's look at our options. So this is the data bank that I will be using. So like, remember, it's this one, strategy bank, and see here's 59. Remember, I picked 54, so I need to say only selected. That means I will only pick from the selected strategies in the data bank. So in this case, I'm not using crude oil in this portfolio. And then we will store it in portfolios. Now, the number of strategies, I want to pick between 5 and 10. Now, this number is up to you, but I recommend between 5 and 15 actually. 15 is a good number, but let's do 10 now for simplicity. Out of all these variations from the strategies and the portfolios, we will only store 10 portfolios. That doesn't mean we will stop after 10. We will keep working because you see in the next step, we are ranking. So we are ranking the portfolios that we are developing. So when a better portfolio will come through the ranking, we will replace it. And I will show you this in a second. And then we have sector selection. Currently, this is not working. I'm in version 138. So basically what you need is in Data Manager, these symbols has to have a sector. So when you come here and you can say, well, don't pick from this sector, then it will affect it. Currently, I don't see the effect. And even if there is an effect, there is no way to tell which market belongs to which sector. I mean, there is no definition for that. And then we have correlations. So obviously, we want low correlations. So I will use correlation by week for profit and loss. And we will use 0.3. And I will allow negative correlation. So that means a strategy could be correlated up to 0.3 and negative correlation is allowed. Now, correlation can be done through multiple ways. It can be done on the open positions, on the number of positions, or on the profit and loss. In this case, I'm taking profit and loss because that's what we are most concerned with. So for example, if you have 5 positions open, but they all yield to, let's say, profits, that means they're already correlated. So why would I care if they are open or not? I care about the correlation of the profit and loss. Now, the position correlation comes handy when you want to find out how much money you need to trade. Because if you have 5 positions open most of the time, highly correlated, that means you will need more money to trade this portfolio. But we can do this later on with Monte Carlo, so we are not concerned with it right now. Okay, so we are good with this. Let's close. Now, the return to drawdown here is only for ranking the number of portfolios. So, for example, if I develop 100 portfolios, I will only pick the top 10 based on return to drawdown. But what the portfolios are graded on is this. So we have the most flexibility to build our portfolio. So let me scroll down. So for example here, I want the minimum return to drawdown is to be 5. So even though I am ranking, but the minimum is 5. So I will not have a portfolio less than 5 return to drawdown ratio. Next, we have profit factor. So no portfolio will be less than 1.3. Next, I added number of trades. So every portfolio will have a minimum of 500 trades. Now, of course, this is extremely flexible because you can come here and add any value you like out of these. So you can see the possibilities are endless, and it's not about adding many. It's about adding something you like. So for example, I don't want my open drawdown to be of a certain value in dollars or in pips or in percent, and so on and so forth. Let's keep our portfolio construction simple, and let's start with these. Finally, we have the data range. So currently I have from 2009 till 2023. This is the data I have. Now I have older data, but I'm not going to use it because some futures, they don't have all the data. And now we come to this part, which is we are going to use brute force or genetic search. So unless your brute force variations come to, let's say, 1,000, then you cannot use it. Because anything above 1,000 will take a really long time to do. So most of the time, I would say 99.9% of the time, you will use genetic method. Because you can tell, like, really the possibilities are in billions, sometimes in trillions. And I'll show you how simple this is. So going back to this, remember I have 54 strategies selected, and we are constructing a portfolio between 5 and 10. So in your head, you would think maybe this will bring 100 variations or 1,000. But if you go to progress, let's put this down, and you click on this number, this is to refresh, and let's count this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is 30 billion variations out of only 54 strategies. So you can see how this is extremely hard to do with brute force. So you should always pick genetic search. Now, if you think this number is wrong, which I thought about it, so we can test this. So I ask ChatGPT, I have 54 strategies, would like to construct 5 to 10 strategies, and without the position of the strategy making any change. So let's say if strategy A, position number 3 or position number 7, it doesn't matter. And it did its thing. And this is the result. It's 9.6 billion variations. Now I know SQX is showing 30. I don't know why, but at least we know we are in billions. So it's not a fluke. So here we are. Let's go to portfolios. So remember, we are taking strategy bank selected only, and we are putting the results in portfolios. So let's start this. And remember, we ask it to come up with 10, but once we reach 10, you will notice something will happen. So here we are at 10, but you see there are some variations happening. And that's because whenever the process finds a better portfolio in return to drawdown ratio, so if I sort on return to drawdown, so here we can see 1509, and the lowest is 12.17. So you see, whenever it finds a better portfolio, it will replace the lowest one. So currently we have 12.48, and now we have 12.51. So it will keep doing this forever. I mean, it will not stop because it has 30 billion variations to go through. Now let me stop it. And now we have our 10 portfolios. And first thing I want to bring to mind is the rejected detail. So if we click on this, let's see. So you see 61% of the rejection because I have less than 500 trades. So this is important to know, because let's say if you want more variations or you're not getting what you are looking for, then this is the first thing to play with, is to reduce this requirement or to remove it all. The next one is the profit factor, 1.3, and 20% of that. And then you notice that the correlation is even before the return to drawdown. That means what? That means my return to drawdown actually is not doing anything. Look at this. It's 1.4% rejection because of return to drawdown. So we might as well remove this condition altogether and introduce a new condition, because currently this condition is only adding complication without any advantage. Now, of course, this is in pursuit of many variables, because like I showed you, you have a huge library of variations. So once you click here, you have a huge library to choose from and to pick what you want. So for example, I can add edge ratio or efficiency ratio, and those might produce better portfolios. Now, once you go through this, maybe, 2, 3, 10 times, you will find the most effective filters for your portfolios, because remember, these are filters, just like a strategy filter. Okay, so here is our first portfolio, and this is the weekly profit and loss correlations. And as you can see, they're all, of course, below 3 because we already stipulated that in our conditions. In our equity curve, let's put this down. So this is our equity curve, and you notice that we have a stagnation of 661 days. And you notice there is a in sample and out of sample. So this is the out of sample since half of 2013. So StrategyQuant X is using 30% as in sample and the rest as out of sample, 70% as out of sample. Now, you cannot control this for now, but it would be nice to have control over this in sample and out of sample. And I'm sure as this module develops, they will be adding these more and more, because I think what the SQX team is trying to do is bringing everything in Quant Analyzer to SQX. Now we can see the strategies inside. So you can see here, these are the curves of the strategy, and here the colors of the strategy. So currently we have GC, USD JPY, ES, J6, another ES. Remember I told you that currently you cannot control which markets or how many strategies from a single market. This is our trade analysis and list of trades, and of course it will list all trades. So here they are sorted by time. So this is ES, USD JPY, another ES. Here we have GC, and so on and so forth. Now you can see, of course, long, short separately, in sample, out of sample separately. And also you can pick every strategy separately. So let me see this strategy alone. Really, the implementation of this portfolio module is one of the best I've seen in the market. Okay, so let's say now I have this portfolio and I want to add a crude oil strategy to this portfolio. So this portfolio has no crude oil because I didn't use it. So let's copy the portfolio and let's put it in a new data bank. And then let's copy the strategies and put them in this data bank. So now I have this portfolio and 5 crude oil strategies. So we will use the portfolio and the 5 crude oil strategies. So this is the source data bank. No need for only selected. We will use all of them. And we will put the new portfolio in temp. Now we have the portfolio and a strategy. So this will act as one strategy. So we want 2. So 2, that means hopefully it will use the portfolio and one of these strategies. Now sometimes it will use 2 crude oil strategy, because remember, this doesn't work currently. Same data we have, and again we are using genetic, although in this case we can use brute force because the number of combinations will be very low, so we can see all of them. And I will not pick any of these because I want to see all the iterations, and let's see what we get. So if I go back to progress, let's refresh this. So you see we have maximum of 28 variations. So we're doing brute force, and I will increase this to 30 to have all of them. And let's start the process, and we should see all of them here. So 26 only, although it says 28. So I don't know what happened to the other 2. But in any case, now we want to look and see which one of these produced our portfolio with crude oil. So let's click and let's go to equity. So this is 2 crude oil. So this is also 2 crude oil, but the third one is our portfolio plus the crude oil strategy. This one is also our portfolio and another crude oil. Now, this crude oil strategy is 1356, and this one is 1101. In reality, we should have 5 variations because this portfolio with this one, or with this one, or with this, or so only 5 variations should be left. And if you scroll through these, you will find all 5 variations. So without going through all the trouble of rebuilding your portfolio from scratch, you can delete a strategy from a portfolio and introduce a new, better one. Once you are happy with the portfolio, then you can take that and trade it each separately, because the strategies, this is not a combined code. Each strategy is a separate code, and you need to put it on a separate chart and trade it separately. If you liked what you watched so far, then you will love this next video.